Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. Here are your hosts, Jeffrey Tobias Halter and Amanda Hammett.
Good afternoon. Today we are talking to Bonnie Marcus about gendered ageism, and I am incredibly excited about today. But before we get into that, my name is Amanda Hammett, and I am drinking my normal favorite raspberry hibiscus kombucha. Jeffrey, what are you drinking today?
Yeah, I've got a very nice Italian Pinot Grigio. And just before our show started, we were talking about Italy with Bonnie. She's going to be going there. We're very jealous, but we have to focus on what we're going to be talking about today. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Bonnie Marcus. Bonnie is an executive coach, author, international speaker with a passion for helping professional women gain the visibility and credibility they need to have a fulfilling career. Bonnie is the author of 2 books, The Politics of Promotion, How High Advancing Women Get Ahead and Stay Ahead, and the recently published Not Done Yet, How Women Over 50 Regain Their Confidence and Claim Workplace Power. She's also the host of a podcast, Badass Women at Any Age, and I'm going to, shamelessly promote that. I was the first badass man that Bonnie asked to come on her show. So I was so thankful for that.
Well, wonderful. Well, Bonnie, welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. What is your beverage of choice today?
Well, of course, I'm on California time, so it would be hard for me to justify the Pinot Grigio, although, Jeffrey, I'm so with you. But I have my kombucha. And my favorite is gingerade.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
No, like I'm addicted to this. So
that's awesome.
There are worse things to be addicted to, right?
Yeah, there you go. And hopefully, you can enjoy another beverage when it gets to be 5:00 your time. So we're going to get started. Bonnie, the question is always where to start. And so my first question is around what prompted you to write the book, Not Done Yet, How Women Over 50 Regain Their Confidence and Claim Workplace Power.
I was in New York for a networking coffee with a female colleague who started to tell me her story. We're kind of catching up and I'm like, how are things going at work or whatever? And she had been with a large global bank for 22 years. And she starts to tell me they just terminated her. She had worked her way up to be managing director, right? So she had a stellar performance record. But she started to notice some of her younger female colleagues were calling her a dinosaur. Her boss wasn't including her in meetings anymore. And by the way, they were making fun of her because she wore pantyhose. She was over the hill. She was extinct. So she did get terminated and they called it downsizing, but she knew better that it was gendered ageism. And of course, this and another coaching client I had who worked in Silicon Valley on a legal team there had similar experiences. She wasn't let go, but she was marginalized. And I said, there's got to be more to this. I have to start doing some more interviews. And of course, I did find that the more I spoke with women, even 40 and over, they were experiencing the intersection of gender bias and ageism.
When I was reading the research that we had pulled together for this episode, I was like, yes, I see this. I know this personally, but also I see this as well. So in researching your book, you found that gendered ageism affects women at all stages of their careers, but most notably under the age of 35 and over 50, which I could not agree more, but especially in this world, this economy, this workplace that we're dealing with now. So could you tell us a little bit more about that research? What did you find?
Yes. So I did find that 77% of women under 35 experienced gendered ageism. Mm-hmm. And what did that look like? Their opinions weren't valued. Mm-hmm. They weren't invited to key meetings. They didn't have credibility. They weren't considered to be, a valuable contributor. They didn't have enough experience, and they were viewed as being too young.
Yeah.
And at the other end of the spectrum now, women who hit 59 to over 60 had similar experiences. 88% of them experienced gendered ageism. But the interesting thing is that it improves slightly for women between the ages of 35 and 40. It's like, Amanda, that's 1 nanosecond where women seem to be the right age. But of course, chances are we're having children at that age. Mm-hmm. And so we're also then facing the motherhood penalty.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that affects our income. If our company doesn't have flexibility, we may be forced to opt out, et cetera. But so 35 to 40 is that sweet spot. And then every year, incrementally, every year after 40, till you hit 55 or so, it increases.
It's just mind-boggling to, as Amanda and I have done so many shows about the war for talent and, the gap between what companies need and the available people that are out there. And yet, this is still so common in the workplace. And we could easily be talking about older white men as well. I have a number of conversations with my colleagues who are, men in their 60s who are basically saying, hey, you're done. Here's your package. But I know there are so many more nuanced layers that women face that are just horrific. I'm curious, in your research, what have you found for best practices? What are Fortune 500 companies doing to retain women over 50? What are training programs or policies? What have you seen that's working to keep them in the workforce?
I haven't seen a lot because I haven't seen a lot of companies addressing the intersection of gender bias and ageism. It's really not on their radar. Now, a lot of companies, and this, Jeffrey, are trying to improve the workplace for women. They're trying to attract and retain women. And very many of them they've made some public goals and announcements about what they're trying to achieve to women through the pipeline and advance them to leadership positions. But companies aren't really addressing the ageism issue. And, part of my work and, banging the drum here is that we need to build more awareness for companies about why this is important. It's not just a nice to have. Similar to what we said about gender bias, it's not just a good thing to do to embrace women. It actually helps your business.
If you were talking to CEOs, what are one or two things you would tell them to do?
The first thing I would tell them to do is maybe even like a surprising request. Don't make assumptions about the women in your workplace and what they are experiencing. So very often companies will say, okay, we need to create some solutions or make a new initiative around this issue. But they're assuming what that experience is like for their employees. So I think, if I was talking to anyone in the C-suite or anybody who's head of diversity and inclusion, it's create some kind of a survey, for your female employees and find out exactly what they are experiencing on this topic. Because for you to create solutions that are based on assumptions may miss the mark. So similar to the survey that I designed for my research, design something, a custom survey that will help you to really pinpoint what some of the issues are, how they are being addressed, or maybe they're not being addressed by HR and your managers, and then put some programs in place.
Wise words, Bonnie. Well, first of all, thank you for being with us. This topic, I think, is something that is not getting the airtime it deserves. Ageism, as you've mentioned, happens across the board, especially for women. I personally have suffered from it. I had someone say that I was a kid when I was 38 years old. Like, why would we believe you? You're just a kid. So this does happen. So for those leaders out there that are watching, take what Bonnie has to say, take her research to heart. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in the very next episode.
I'm Jeffrey Tobias Halter. Thank you for joining us this week for Wind Down Wednesday.
Thank you for joining us for Wind Down Wednesday. If you like this episode, please subscribe to receive more episodes straight to your inbox.